Welcome to Even Tacos Fall Apart, a podcast where we talk openly and honestly with the goal of normalizing mental health conversations. Whether you're tuning in for the first time or you've been with me for a while, I am so glad you're here. Today's episode is a great one because it's all about busting the stereotype that therapy is stiff, clinical, and uncomfortable. My guest is Jessica Medina, her last name was Ehrman at the time, a marriage and family therapist who's breaking the mold with creative, personalized approaches to helping her clients. This was the very first time Jessica joined me as a guest back in June of 2021, and I just recently had the pleasure of chatting with her for a 7th time on the show. Back then, we got into a deep discussion on how therapy doesn't have to mean just sitting in a chair, answering the same old questions. Jessica uses gaming, pop culture, and even TikTok as tools to connect with her clients in ways that feel relevant and real to their lives. In this episode, we're talking about how therapy can be flexible and tailored to meet people where they are, whether that's exploring emotions through Roblox or tackling tough conversations with the help of Animal Crossing. We also touch on what therapy is really about, not fixing anyone, but giving people the space and support they need to face life's messiness. It's not always pretty or easy, but therapy can be an empowering experience, and Jessica's approach proves it can even be fun. Now, before we get into the interview, I want to take a moment and talk about where we are as we close out the year and head into a new one. The holidays and the start of a new year can bring a lot of pressure to reflect on accomplishments, set goals, or feel a certain way. If you're listening to this and all you can say about 2024 is that you survived it, that's enough. Survival is a win. You don't have to compare your journey to anyone else's or have a big list of milestones to feel like you've made progress. It's okay to just exist, to have made it through. If you're struggling, know you are not alone. This podcast is here to remind you that mental health is a part of life for everyone. It's okay to have rough patches, and it's okay to reach out for help. We're all figuring this out, and we can do that together. I also want to remind you to get involved, whether it's sharing your thoughts about the episode, connecting with me on social media, or just passing this podcast along to someone who might need it. I want this to feel like a community where you're heard. Your voice matters, and your experiences matter. All right, let's get into it. If you've ever felt like traditional therapy wasn't for you, or you've wondered what a different approach might look like, this conversation should help. Jessica's here to talk about how therapy can be creative, empowering, and yes, even exciting. My mic all the way over here. This whole time it hasn't been over here. Hopefully you can hear me a little better now. It's not way over there.
But can you hear me all right? I moved my mic closer. Can you hear me a little bit better?
Yes, I can hear you. Okay. Y'all, hello. Happy Monday. We are here with another Mental Health Monday, and it's not a mama stream if something doesn't go wrong. So this time it was just the mic being way the hell over there. It's okay. Super excited to have a guest tonight with us. So Jamie, hello, welcome. Glad you're here. Our guest tonight is Jessica Ehrman. I'm really excited to be talking about why therapy doesn't have to be boring. I think that's a great topic and something I'm really excited to dive into. Jessica is a registered associate marriage and family therapist. She's been a therapist for 2 years, graduated from Pepperdine, which is it one of those two?
Pepperdine.
Okay. University with her master's in clinical psychology, emphasis in marriage and family therapy. She loves creating innovative and fun pop culture based therapy interventions, such as Roblox, Animal Crossing, and Inside Out. And I love Inside Out. That's a great one.
Best movie ever.
Yes. Jessica uses techniques like mindfulness, play, geek culture, and pop culture to explore the chaos that can be everyday life. As a therapist, her goals are not to try to fix people, give advice, tell someone what to do, assume what is best for someone, have all the answers, and make the hard stuff go away. As a therapist, her goals are to remind clients that they aren't broken, give someone room to access their own wisdom, support people in figuring out what to do, and work together on how to make the hard stuff easier to sit with, that last part I really, really love. She has extensive experience working with children, teens, and adults, school-based counseling, trauma, anxiety, divorce, depression, OCD, grief, LGBTQIA plus alternative lifestyles, suicidal ideation, self-harm, and healing from difficult family dynamics, which is a lot. That's a wide range there, which is fantastic. Jessica also has experience creating curriculum for and facilitating an anxiety and survivors of sexual assault group. And I do have 3 links for you for socials and more info. I have Twitter, which is here. I have her website. And then I also have a link to her tags presenter page. And if you don't have a media pass for tags, I know I talk about it all the time, but if you didn't get a media pass, you can still get them. So go there and get access to them. Yes, get access to the presentations there, and you won't regret it. Jamie said, I'm a huge fan of Jessica's hair and eyebrows. Yes, absolutely.
Thank you.
And as we always start off by saying here, I am not a professional mental health worker. Jessica is a professional mental health worker. She is not your professional mental health worker. So we are not here to diagnose. We are here to talk about things and with an open mind and a compassionate heart. So this is not therapy in any way, shape, or form. We are here to talk. So let's talk a little bit. And if you guys have questions, I do have a question queue open, ! The letter Q. Follow with your question, hit enter, it'll put it into that queue. Or just type it into chat. I'll get it. If you type it into chat, it's all good. So with that, thank you, Jessica, for being here with us today. I'm really excited for this.
Thank you for having me. So excited.
He just jumped up from the floor onto my chair. That scared the crap out of me. Come over here. Good Lord.
I love seeing animals on video. Like, it's the best thing.
Well, I'm used to him like coming here where he is now and then getting up there, or walking on my lumbar support across and coming over here. I've never had him jump from the floor to the back of my chair before. I'm surprised you stuck that landing,
He must
buddy.
be excited too. I feel it.
He must be. He must be. So can you tell us a little more about your experience and what made you become interested in specializing in mental health?
Yes. So how I got into therapy is actually a really interesting story. So I've always loved like serial killers and cult leaders. So I wanted to do the forensic psych part of therapy, and I went to a school for it that had those courses, but it was really far away from home. So I ended up moving a bit closer, going to a different school. And with that school, I had to take a business course. I wanted to do kind of a business on the side as well. Math was not my thing. I found that out the hard way very quickly. But as part of that criminology course load, I had to take abnormal psychology. And I fell in love. It was the best class I have ever had. The teacher is like imprinted into my mind. And it's funny, as my significant other had her later on, and she's like, oh, yeah, I could see it. But it really, really made me fall in love with what I do. So went to grad school, went to school for a really long time, and ended up working at a nonprofit. And with the nonprofit, they're like, guess what? You're going to work in the schools. I'm like, well, I don't have any experience with children. They're like, it's all right, you'll figure it out. So I figured it out. And in doing so, that's kind of how I organically started implementing gaming, because I'm 5 on the inside. If my hair and my shirt doesn't say that loudly enough. But that kind of got me into gaming and incorporating more of me into my therapy. So it's kind of started with serial killers and ended with kids. And here I am. So, I mean, I work with adults too, but yeah.
Listen, as a mother of a 7-year-old who may or may not turn out to be a serial killer, I can see that pathing from serial killers to kids.
I feel you on that one.
And don't get me wrong, like I love my children. I love my 7-year-old. He's freaking fantastic. Just every now and then I'm like, oh, okay. So what is your favorite thing about working in the mental health field, and what are some of the biggest challenges you've seen?
How each day is a brand new opportunity. And I don't mean that as like sunshine, rainbows, and pretty flowers, but in the sense of you never know what you're going to get. You really never know what you're going to get. So I would say that's definitely one of the biggest challenges.
Mm-hmm.
for me, at least with my anxiety, being in control is a huge thing. So that was a huge learning curve in therapy of you can plan all you want. You can plan for sessions all you want, but I guarantee you that session that you plan to the T is going to go nothing like you had planned. So for me, it's the excitement of what I'm going to see. And I see kids, I see teens, I see adults. I've seen more cat buttholes than I can count, but I like that excitement of it. But I also like seeing the transformation in my clients. Like, I've worked a lot with trauma, or I've worked a lot with children of divorce or children who have lost their parents in really tragic ways, or suicidal clients, and being able to see that beautiful transformation and being along for the ride in that, and then seeing the client 2 years down the line, a year down the line, and just how much they've come, like that is the most beautiful experience that you can have. And I'm honored to be in that passenger seat along for the ride, to see the beautiful passageway as well.
Yeah. Jamie says, and your glasses, by the way, great style.
Thank you. Zenny Optical. They have glasses for great prices. I am not sponsored, but
there you go. But you should be. So what are some of your favorite hobbies, and do you draw any distinctions between what you consider hobbies and what you consider self-care? And also, wait, before that, speaking of style, can you show off your nails? Can you show us what's on your nails? Look at this. Today. It's amazing.
So this is my newest hobby. I did like the full acrylic set and everything myself. I mean, they're far from perfect, but I like putting my own little style into my nails. Like last week, I had the pink with little strawberries, like that TikTok strawberry dress. Super cute. All the glitter and everything. So that's been my latest hobby of just doing my nails, which has been kind of cathartic for me during the pandemic and not being able to go out to the nail salon. Also, I'm super picky. So if my nails start growing out and like getting caught on my hair, of course I have to take it off and redo it. Of course. So being able to do it at home is a little more cost effective. But that's one of my hobbies. TikTok also. On TikTok for hours. Or I'll color or draw or, you know, get artsy fartsy. So for me, for my self-care, in a way, yes. In a way, no. Sometimes I feel personally called out by my For You page on TikTok with its relatable content. But I also see a lot of, my clients will send me TikToks all the time. I always tell them memes, TikToks, shitposts, please send my way. But mine now is like therapeutic TikTok or mental health TikTok. I'm like, no, I'm on here to escape my job. But relatable. Yes, that's me. Yes. So it's self-care in a way, but sometimes it's not, because I do want to have that full, complete escape. But when TikTok isn't doing it for me, or when I'm not ready for a new set, video games. Oh, I love video games. Like, there's nothing like raging out on Call of Duty after a really frustrating session, or even after a great session, just being able to like, not rage quit, but scream at my television and have my neighbors wondering what's going on. That is my favorite pastime. Yeah, kind of goes hand in hand.
I like that. What's your favorite video game to play right now?
Call of Duty, for one. I like doing the cash version, where you try to get as much cash as you can. And what's really fun is if you take the helicopter, and as people are parachuting down, you attack them with the helicopter blades. Super fun. Pro tip. You get a lot of money that way. I'm kind of getting into Minecraft a little bit, but I love Animal Crossing, but I've really been neglecting my islands. I was completely busy around Christmas and Halloween, so I've time hopped back. No one tell Nintendo, but I time hopped back and I relived Halloween like 12 times.
Nice.
Fun. Yeah. Kind of like idle games, or games where I can just like at the screen for an hour.
Yeah, I mean that's a good contrast right there. Either idle games or anger games, and both have their uses.
There's no middle ground.
Right. No, both have absolutely valid uses. Hey, Dr. D, how are you today? I think the rarest
Good,
M&M
Mama.
color might be brown. It doesn't seem like it, but I think it might be brown. You can say green, but I think it might be brown.
I think it might be brown, actually.
Yeah. I'm not positive, but that probably will get you the points if you type that in. So all right, so we talked about hobbies and self-care a little bit. And I want to go back to what you said about your nails, because when I painted my nails, like that was one of my biggest self-care things. And whenever my hands started to get really bad, I had to have bilateral carpal tunnel release just recently. And I'm just to the point where I think I could start doing them again. But that was one of the biggest things to me, was to lose that piece of self-care, because it was, a few hours where I could just tell my kids, like, sorry, you can't touch me right now. Like, sorry. Mom can't help you with that right now. You're gonna have to figure it out on your own for just a few hours on a Sunday. I'm still here, some emergency, it's gonna be fine. But I kind of lost that. So have you ever faced a time where you cannot do something that you do for self-care, and what do you do in the face of that?
Great question. For me, getting my nails done used to be my self-care too, because I've worked for agencies that only allowed natural hair, and that was so hard. I've been every color of the rainbow, including the rainbow. So for me, my nails and being able to have like the cute, unique styles, that was my way of expressing myself. And now I wear 90s Nick shirts. I have my hair all rainbow. So for me, when it's something I can't do, so getting my nails done, learned how to do it at home. What else? Going on walks. Going on walks was the biggest one, but unfortunately, I've gone around walks in my neighborhood. I've been accosted, and I had a dude like straight up go past me, back up, and like park his car next to me, and I just really didn't make me feel safe.
Yeah.
So, especially walking with my dogs alone early in the morning before sessions. So I got an Oculus Quest, and now I'll bike with the VR headset on, or I'll do like a virtual escape, or do something like that. I also got the it's all over TikTok. It's the hula hoop that clamps around your waist. And I'll do that while scrolling on TikTok, of course, because I'm always on TikTok. But either making them or doom scrolling, which is, let's be real, that's my biggest form of self-care. But I'll also be on my stationary bike, like with Animal Crossing or raging on Call of Duty. And then before you know it, I've biked 6 miles. So that's kind of my way of being able to go out without going out. And I'll make it an experience. I'll turn the AC on full blast. It feels like the wind's blowing in my hair. I'll have like grass scented candles. Like, it's a whole immersive experience. My dogs miss walking, but I play with them during the day, so win-win.
Yeah.
But good question.
So you mentioned a kind of fascination with serial killers already, but do you have a favorite serial killer or true crime story that really just fascinates you?
Great question. For all of my peeps in California, there's Museum of Death in LA. They're expanding and reopening. So if you like serial killers and cult leaders, seriously, I should be sponsored at this point. But
I've always wanted to go there. That is one of the places that I've always wanted to go.
It's amazing. Amazing. Seriously, if you look at a TikTok trend of like super spy, that's my super spy moment of I'm so bubbly that you wouldn't realize I am totally into serial killers and true crime. I loved Black Dahlia in terms of true crime story, but and Charles Manson. Like, in the sense that I've always wanted to get into their minds.
Yes.
And understand the pathology of it. And if you look at individuals like, Jonestown or Charles Manson, to understand what it would need at that point for someone to be so captivated by a cult leader. If you look at what Manson represented in terms of home, in terms of belonging, and really taking in people who felt like outcasts and created this kind of family with them. Granted, it was a really fucked up family and they did fucked up things. But the fact of the matter is, like, he created that dynamic for a lot of people. And just how he knows what he was doing in interviews. Like, he knew what he was doing. And that's why he wouldn't do a lot of interviews with psychiatrists or psychologists. But the craziness, like, everyone's seen that GIF, however you mention it or say it, of him dancing to show that he was insane. Like, probably insane. But to understand the pathology behind that is fascinating. But in terms of my favorite serial killer, Aileen Wuornos. Absolutely. Because talk about taking trauma and empowering yourself with that. Granted, she murdered a lot of people that tried to rape her, but, you know, in terms of healing, like, that's bad. To clarify, I am not saying kill your rapist.
Right.
But if I had to pick one, it would definitely be her, because she's the first female serial killer, but also, like, talk about taking power into your own hands. I mean, and then some. But if I had to pick one, it would definitely be her.
Yeah.
I've given a lot of thought to this question.
It's really kind of a revealing question sometimes. Jamie says, I live about 20 minutes from where the BTK killer is imprisoned. Oh, that's right, you do.
I don't know if y'all heard about the serial killings that happened in Orange County in 2013. Where the guy went around and was shooting people on the freeway execution style.
Oh, yes.
But that ended, he ended up killing himself a couple streets down from where my parents live. Like, I pass that intersection all the time. And it's by a Dunkin' Donuts. Like, I'm getting my coffee and I'm like, dead people. I have a stick in my mind. I really do. But
he was a Wichita resident. Yep. Jamie, in all the time I've known you, I don't think I've ever connected that. I've never connected that with you for some reason. I should have way before now, but I didn't.
Fascinating.
So what do you feel is the common perception of therapy today in general?
That it's scary. That it's something to be terrified of. But honestly, if you find the right therapist, therapy should be like, fuck yeah, I have therapy today. Or instead of like, I go to therapy. Why am I paying for this? Why am I paying to cry? Right? Like, I've had horrendous therapists that didn't really get me. And that's my job as a therapist. At least the job that I've taken on myself, that yeah, the common perception is people hate therapy. No one wants to go. But I want to create a place that people are excited to go to. Because if we're going to talk about our feelings, why not make it fun? Right? But yeah, that is boring. That all of us dress like super professional. I mean, this is what I wear to session. Like, let's be real. If I'm in a suit, someone's dying or is dead and I'm going to a funeral. Like, that's not me. And I feel like that's also a common perception, that you're getting someone in the room who's like stone-faced. How does that make you feel? We're just staring at you and going, okay, No. No, I would walk out that door so fast. So that I really want to make sure that my clients are excited for therapy.
Yeah.
That's how it should be.
I mean, the part about just, oh, I have therapy today. Like, I have therapy and I've been there. I've been where I'm like, ew, I don't really want to go today. But it was a bad therapist. Like, that's the thing. And not that she was a bad therapist in general, but she wasn't the therapist for me. And so we talk about this all the time. We're going to hit it early today. If your therapist isn't working for you, get a new one. Like, find someone that you click with. You're going to find someone that you click with. If you're dreading therapy, now, if you're dreading therapy because you're going to face some shit, that's different.
Good story. I've been there. I've definitely been there.
Yeah.
But, I mean, therapy is not easy. I want to preface with that. Like, therapy is not going to be easy. Talking about your inner demons, talking about patterns, even help healing transgenerational patterns. It's going to be rough. There's days where I hate my own therapist, and she knows that. It's okay. But also, you want to make sure you vibe with that person. It's not like, how do I express myself so they understand? No, it should be, oh my God, they get me. And I think that's what the common perception of therapy is. Like, I'm not going to be understood. They don't get me. Y'all, therapists are more jacked up than y'all sometimes. Let's be real. We understand it because we've lived it. At least from my perspective and from my experience, I get it because I come from that messed up family. I know what it's like to be an outcast because I've been an outcast. I get it. So I think that's the common perception of like, they're not going to get me. They're going to judge me. They're going to think I'm weird. If y'all heard some of the cases that I've had, or some of the clients that ended up not being clients because of what happened during the intake, there's nothing that can scare the right therapist. I can tell you that right now.
Yeah. Dr. D said, I'm a very monotone therapist. I aim to put the client to sleep. We all need more sleep after all. No joke. My current therapist right now, there was one night where I went in there and I was just like, dude, I'm fucking tired. I'm just tired. I'm tired all the time. And she was like, do we need to just take a nap? Like, do I need to just turn off the light and leave the room? Like, is that what needs to happen right now? And we wound up not, but she was seriously like, look, if you just need to come here and take a little nap sometimes, like, it's okay to do that. But I mean, everyone needs more sleep, Dr. D. You're not wrong.
I'm right there. I need that sleep. If anyone's sharing or knows where I can find this thing called sleep, please let me know.
Yeah. Well, there's a meme posted in the Discord server today, actually, about sleep, and it was really great. It's like sleep is the one who's getting the hours cut. Everything else has to keep being maintained above. Yeah, it was good.
Mm-hmm.
So clearly, I mean, therapy doesn't have to be typical. So what are some of the things that are less than typical methods that you employ with your clients?
I play video games with my clients and I get my ass handed to me by 5-year-olds on Roblox on a regular basis. Yep. Yeah, my sessions are far from typical. Like, I've had clients who feel like or who feel more comfortable exploring trauma if they're medicated. Or granted, I don't want them showing up high as balls to session, but I have some clients who that helps them. Mm-hmm. If that helps you and it's not impairing you for session, I'll allow it. You know, not that I'm allowing anything, but so to speak. But in terms of typical, I've watched Inside Out in session. I've had a client teach me all about Skyrim. And for me, I don't think there's anything typical about myself. There's nothing typical about me. I have tattoos and I'm loud and proud. So for me, I'm chaotic wholesome with my clients. You get that full authentic person. So yeah, I mean, therapy doesn't have to be typical. It really doesn't. And I think that's where a lot of therapists get stuck. And that's when you see the boring therapy, because our clients aren't typical. They aren't. That's why they're in therapy. And no one's typical, if you really think about it. Because who's to define what normal is? Mm-hmm. I know I'm not. So why would I put myself in that position of expecting my clients to be that as well? So yeah, that's what I use. I use a lot of gaming. I had one client explore their individuality using serial killers. They didn't want to go stabby or anything. But I have also had another client explore their uniqueness using Taylor Swift outfits, right? You can really, as long as you know what you're doing, you can use pretty much anything to explore your overall goals. You just got to be creative with it. Really.
The mosquitoes are crazy here. I've got, like, there's one flying around my face and I feel a bite right here coming up and a bite right here. And I'm like, it's here. I don't know where it is.
The one
I
just
saw it, but I don't think I got it.
Which one's worse? Like the ones on your face or the ones on your fingers? Because I had one on my pinky knuckle.
Yes.
It was not bad. I do have, I don't know where it went, but it's like a little mosquito trapper thing that they have on Amazon. Here I go. I go again. But it's really nice. I'll send you the info later.
Yeah, I think I'm to the point right now. It's just been, I'm in Texas and it's been raining so much, like uncharacteristically for Texas, raining in June. And the mosquitoes are like the size of a quarter at this point. I'm not even talking about like the mosquito hawks. Those are huge too, but I'm talking the actual mosquitoes that do the biting.
Mosquito hawk.
Yes.
Ooh, my TikTok's going off. There you go. What is?
Yeah. I don't know where this is.
Mosquito hawk. I have questions and concerns.
So mosquito hawk. Okay. So it's not a mayfly, which is the green thing. There's another word. There's another term for them. Let's see. If I Google mosquito hawk, crane fly. Yeah. So they get really big here, and they're fine. Those are completely harmless. Here, and then let me just drop this. I'll just drop this in our chat here. Yeah. So they're completely and totally harmless. Now, so you see that, and then think about half that size, maybe like a quarter that size, are the size of the mosquitoes right now. It's insane. They're crazy. They're gigantic and awful. So I didn't mean to interrupt you with a little like clap here. I was trying to get one of them.
Nope. Oh, I closed it again.
Oh no. No. Yeah, you knew you were going to do that too.
There you go.
Well, I think
no. And I told myself, I'm like, I'm not going to close it. I'm not going to close it.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like using games in therapy is something that's not super typical. And I'm being a gamer myself. Like if my kid's therapist was saying like, I think that they would benefit from playing a game in therapy, like I'd be all for it. I'd be like, all right, tell me what you're trying to achieve, and we'll get the right game and whatever is necessary. I feel like sometimes maybe there could be a little pushback from that. Have you ever gotten any pushback from people when you say you use games in therapy?
Yes. All the time. But the thing is, if your child or your teen or adults even, if their world is Roblox, gaming, Fortnite, Call of Duty, why not use their world to implement the therapeutic interventions?
Yeah.
And that's where I get into kind of the psychoeducation of, look, nothing about life right now is normal. We're in the middle of a pandemic. Kids are doing school online. If you told me in middle school or elementary school, like, hey, we're going to be doing school online for a year, I mean, first off, I'd be like, what now? And the second off, I'd be like, yes! But therapy in my pajamas, like, yes. School in my pajamas with my dogs at home, absolutely. Do I still feel that way? I do like telehealth. It's great. But a lot of kids, it was a lot of adjustment. And the one constant was their online world. And the one constant was those friends that they can make online. And for kids such as myself, I wish I had that growing up. Granted, I had like the MySpace groups and top 8s and whatnot, but we didn't have these online worlds. We had Neopets and like Yville, but it's not the same as these like not in person, but these platforms like Roblox where you can talk like live. Words are escaping me, but you can talk right there with your friends. We didn't really have that. We used to have like AIM or AOL Instant Messenger while we hope and pray that no one picks up the phone.
Yes.
Right? Again, here I am giving out my age to everybody. But that's what I grew up with. So for kids, we need to keep in mind that their world is far different from what we grew up with. And if their sense of safety, if their sense of community is online, yes, with some kids, this is the typical caveat. With some kids, they need that decreased time, especially if it gets in the way of their everyday responsibilities. But in terms of therapy, that's the perfect avenue to implement interventions or therapeutic activities and really work on what you want them to work on, because the next time they're in Roblox, guess what they're going to think about? Yeah. Guess what they're going to have in mind? So I'm using my clients' language, whether it be hobbies, whether it be fandoms, whether it be video games. I'm using their language as a tool, as an intervention. But also, like for example, I had a kiddo who did not speak at all at school for 2 years, not to a single person at school. Like he would have accidents before he spoke up about having to go to the bathroom. we switched to telehealth and Roblox. And all I did was ask him, hey, bud, what game are we playing today? And he would tell his caregiver would relay it. And that's how it went on for a couple of months, but pretty soon he was telling me, granted in a whisper. But then I played the, can't hear you, bud, you gotta go louder. And he would start saying it louder. By the end of therapy, after a whole school year, he was speaking 200 words a session. All because I explored his realm, where he felt confident, where he felt comfortable. And let me tell you, this kid, he was like 5. He was kicking my ass thoroughly in games where I was actually trying. But it was nothing for this kid. But that also shows that just because someone might not be the best at something, like communicating verbally, they can kick so much ass if you just give them the space and the time and the opportunity to do so and to teach you. And that's exactly what I did. And that's what I do with my kids, my teens, my adults. Yeah, I play video games with my adults too. And that can be therapeutic in and of itself. Say you had a really, really stressful day at work. What better way than to escape to a virtual world with your therapist using Animal Crossing? Or say you don't want to look me in the eyes while doing therapy, but you feel more comfortable kicking my ass on Among Us. Why not? Why not?
Yeah.
But it's not going to happen because I'm amazing at playing Imposter. I'm just saying.
Listen, I play that game with my 7-year-old. Sometimes he'll play on his Switch and he'll come in here on like a Friday afternoon and say, you want to play a couple rounds? And I'm like, okay, honey, let's go. But he goes one of two ways. He's either the, I'm not going to kill anyone because I want to be a nice imposter, or the, I'm going to kill everyone, including you, Mom.
Which is funny because I just started doing family video game therapy. And I did that with a family, and the mom and I were both the imposters, and we killed the entire family, and no one knew. And at the end, they're just like, oh my goodness, how could you? And I'm just like...
Yeah, that's a lot of fun. So how do you decide if a client, or even if, like you're just saying, a family group would be receptive or benefit from non-traditional therapy? And clearly it's not always kids, but what are some of the benefits for adults as well? Is it similar to kids? Do you get different results from a family group versus a one-on-one with a kid?
Yes, I do. I've used gaming with couples. I've used gaming with individuals, adults, kids, teens, older adults. I've used gaming with families. I've used gaming in group settings as well. So kind of how I decide if a client's the right fit for that, I'm very transparent in who I am, how I do therapy. If you take a look at my website, I have little Among Us characters floating around as well. So it's really clear I do gaming therapy and geek therapy. But I also have that as part of my intake. And I straight up ask, what games do you play? I want to know, what do you play? What do you like? What are your hobbies? What are you into? What makes you you? And what makes you unique? Because in my sessions, we celebrate that. And we explore the crap out of that. So I guess it's more so like I'm not deciding, but they're deciding by choosing to work with me. But also, is it always kids that benefit? No. I have this game called Super Fight that I use with my couples and with my families. And basically, you have 2 characters. Let me pull some cards just for an example. It'd be a lot easier and a lot funnier. But that'll open. There you go. So you have 1 white card and 2 black cards. So for example, say I'm working with a couple, or with a family, you can have, say, a family with 2 kids. You could have mom and 1 kid, dad and another kid, or you can have the parents go or the kids go. Either way, it's a blast, especially sitting back as a therapist. And sometimes I participate too. Like, this game could be really used to help someone with assertive communication and really feeling that empowerment behind their argument. That's the key to winning. It's not what you draw, the look of the draw. It's not that at all. It's in your argument skills. So, for example, say I'm trying to pick a good one. Okay. So, for example, one person would have the UN, the United Nations, that is 3 stories tall, with cat-like reflexes, versus, and this is how you play the game, you try to argue who would win, versus an Apache warrior on a velocipede that can control hair.
All right.
So you'd have to argue who would win. And let me tell you, the adults have a lot more fun with this than the kids sometimes. And it's hilarious because I've done this with a family where, say, like, one parent is super reserved normally in session. Like, they don't really talk much, which is fine. You know, I don't want to force people to talk. But I had that parent, they came up with the most wild answers. And I'm just sitting there like, that was inside you this entire time? Wow. 10 points, Gryffindor. But that's basically, and I use it to practice fair fighting too. And I have a lovely button that I use when rules are broken. So I will talk to my clients or the family or the couple about fair fighting. So what does fair fighting look like? And I'm not going to go into a whole caveat about that.
Yeah.
But I go over how to fight fair. Basically not yelling over people, turn taking, things like that. And when a rule is broken, I press my no button.
I love this no button.
Various different versions of it, but I press the no button and then we have a discussion of, okay, what was broken? How do we remedy that? So you can use the games as the intervention itself.
Yeah.
And that's the fun part. I've done self-care Monopoly, where each of the different squares is a different topic, for example, or like one square is family, one square is friends, or we'll do one square is coloring, one square is Play-Doh. That's really just knowing the games inside and out, which I guess being a gamer really helped me with that, but kind of meshing that with the therapy world. Because I don't know, for me, just being like, how does that make you feel? That just sounds so boring. And I can't do that for 8 hours a day. I would go insane. So, yeah, I mean, long story short, it's not always the kids that have fun. Sometimes I'm having the most fun. But it really, I think the key is, I mean, the main point, when was the last time we've connected with our inner child? Right? We're so caught up in the stressors of everyday life, of the chaos of everyday life, that we don't really connect to the inner child. I mean, I'm constantly with my inner child. We're home skillets. Like, my inner child is my best friend. But for a lot of people, that's not the case. For a lot of people, we're so wrapped up in work, in responsibilities, and taking care of kids that we forget what it's like to be a kid. And usually that's where a lot of the detachment with our kiddos comes from, that we forget what it's like to be a kid. We forget the importance of play, of having fun. And that's what I try to do as a therapist, of reconnecting back to that inner child. Like blowing bubbles, right? You don't have to just practice mindful breathing. Why not add some fun into it? That's how I approach things.
I like the blowing bubbles and mindful breathing. That's a great way to put that. Jamie said, peaceful game of Monopoly, unheard of. Oh, yeah. Our games of Monopoly are insanely cutthroat. Like, it gets crazy with our family, for sure. That and Risk are the two games that...
You can do self-care Monopoly.
Yeah, it sounds great. Yeah, Risk is... My kids will ally against me. But, I mean, I know they're going to break their alliance immediately. So I'm just like, I'm just going to play, and I'm just going to keep winning over here. And y'all worry about your own selves. And eventually you're going to fight and you're going to break your allyship. And then you're going to fight each other. And I'll just quietly keep taking over this part. Yeah, the board games are fun. But then at the same time, like, we have this little fishing shark game where you pull stuff out of it. And if you pull the wrong one, it like goes on your hand.
That's so much fun.
It's fantastic. And my 7-year-old and I sat in that hallway right back there this afternoon and played probably like 10 rounds of it. And just, he would try to see how many he could pull out at the same time with one little fish hook. And it seems like the shark doesn't like you pulling out more than one. He almost always got his arm bit whenever that happens. It's a very light, like, closing. But yeah, and it's just fun to sit and disconnect from the rest of life and kind of reconnect with either your kids or just your own inner child. I think that's really important. So what are some of the most common therapeutic outcomes you are aiming for when you employ pop culture or gaming in your sessions? You talked about, getting the one kid to talk. Are there any that are more common maybe than that particular instance?
I used it a lot at the beginning as well to take the pressure off of therapy, like especially when getting to know my little ones. I'll be like, you know what? We're not going to talk about emotions at all today. Let's just have fun. Let's just play. And I also do that with my older kiddos or with my adults as well. I'll be like, you know what? Like, just show me your world. Like, show me around your virtual world. And so what I'm aiming for is really building that rapport. Like, at the end of the day, I want my clients to feel comfortable talking with me. And I believe in that connection and vibing well. But also I want to get to know them and their individuality and their uniqueness apart from what they come to me for. They're individuals. They're humans too. There's so much more than anxiety, depression, PTSD. And I want to get to know that before we dive into the deep, dark, and scary as well. So my most common therapeutic outcomes I'm aiming for is building that connection, really. But also I use it down the line of like exploring the social skills and whatnot. But first and foremost, really building that connection and getting to know my client for the people that they are.
Yeah, I think that upfront connection is really important with a therapist, because like I said, there are some therapists that you're not going to connect with very well, and that's okay. But if you can find a connection point right off the bat, I think that's really wonderful, because sometimes you go in and even my therapist, the first couple sessions were just awkward. First couple sessions were just really awkward because it's like, you have to, the first session is clearly like you're filling out, they're checking off whatever the list kind of thing is. But even the second session, it's the kind of getting to know, like kind of getting a feel for each other. And I think if we had done something like that, it probably would have connected a little bit sooner. We connected pretty quickly, but still, I think that's really a good way to connect with someone.
It's great. It takes all that pressure off.
Yeah.
And that's when you really start seeing the person in front of you, rather than them being so closed off of like, I don't even want to be here. But if you're like, hey, that's cool. Like, we're not even going to talk about that right now. Like, send me your dodo code. Like, I would love to see your island. Right. And then that way I also get to know them. Like, what are the cool things they did with their island? Do they have like a Halloween area? Do they have an anime area? Like, I want to see that awesomeness. I want to see that uniqueness. Because I celebrate that uniqueness. I want to marinate in that uniqueness. Because I want to get to know them. And then we'll get to the emotions later. But I want to get to know them.
Yeah. Do different age groups or generations of clients even present unique challenges when you're first getting into non-traditional therapy? I'm thinking about even trying to teach my mom to play some games. And she's a brilliant woman, but I think that it would be a little awkward to try to teach her something. Is it awkward to try to get them into this kind of thing?
I try to pick games that are kind of in line with my clients' talents and what they're into. Like, if they're into more card games, I'll do more card games. Or if they're into more online games, I do more online games. So I do ask that up front with my intake or with my consults of, what games do you play? Because I want to know. Or if they don't play games, what are they into? What fandoms are they into? Are they a Marvel fan, a DC fan, a comic fan? I really want to explore that. Or even if they're into like Bravo and TLC, HGTV, I'm all about it. I want to explore that. So when it comes to teaching a game, I haven't really had any issues. I pretty much just play the game with them and walk them through it. I usually stay away from the super, super complex ones if I know that person's not a complex gamer, so to speak. But I've gotten my dad into video games, and he plays Angry Birds for the most part. But showing him how to download that and how to play and whatnot. He's like in his like 70s, but it was fun. It was cute. I love teaching him things. Yeah. And just watching that glee and that excitement when trying something new. So it's a bit challenging, especially if you have someone who's not well adept into technology. But I keep that in mind when selecting games. And for my younger clients, I call them my littles, my I make sure that the way I structure a session is very structured and precise. So before we get into the gaming, I'll do like maybe a 15-minute activity. Like I teach them how to breathe with bubbles. Like seriously, I have so many things with bubbles. Or we will color our emotions. So I'll ask, all right, bud, you got a piece of paper in front of you. You have your color pencils. I want you to show me with different sized balls or dinosaurs or whatever you want to draw, happy face, sad face. I want you to show me how big the emotion is this week. If you're feeling really angry, you might do a really big red ball. Or if you're feeling a little bit sad, you might do a teeny tiny little speck on your paper. But I want you to show me. So I'll kind of use that, still keep it experiential and still keep it hands-on, but I'll keep that limited because with the attention span, especially over telehealth, it's really hard with the younger clients and with the kiddos. But I've had 5 years old up to 65 doing telehealth and playing games with me. It really depends on the individual, but it's really important to keep it structured. Like for a 5-year-old, a 6-year-old, I'm not going to be asking therapeutic questions while we're gaming. There's no way in hell that's going to work. I've tried. It doesn't. So I try to do the really informational stuff first. And I'm like, great job. You got through this. Or I'll use it as a reward of, you know what? By the time we hit the 30-minute mark, we're going to play some Roblox. What do you think? They're like, yeah. And I'm like, okay, we just got to get through this part first. And then go show mommy. Awesome. You ready to play Roblox? So I kind of keep that structured, but it's really keeping your energy level up there so that they can follow you as well. So there are challenges. I think the biggest challenge, honestly, is connection issues with internet going out or Roblox crashing or the telehealth platform crashing. And that's the biggest challenge, honestly.
Yeah, I mean that's been a challenge with a lot of things in the past year. I mean I don't do anything like mental health stuff, but even the meetings that I'm in, it's like, okay, if we're in a client interview and we're having a bad connection, but we're not even all in the same room. So one person on our side could be having a bad connection. One person on the client side could be having a bad connection. And it's just like those kinds of things. And the past year and this whole pandemic have really thrown everything off, and including therapy and including some progress, I think. So
I've had some clients fall through with that too. You know, it sucks.
Yeah. And I mean, it's been a challenge for a lot of people. So what have been some of the challenges with teletherapy, and what have been some of your biggest wins during this time?
A challenge, definitely connection. Definitely connection. I'm hard of hearing as well. So sometimes if I'm trying to pay attention to my client and I hear like World War III going on in their background with siblings screaming, I have cats running across the thing, or their parents in the middle of a Costco, and you have to be like, hey, bud, I would love to meet with you, but we can't right now. And then kind of seeing them like defeated. That's the hardest part sometimes. And also trying to advocate for my clients for the appropriate care, for the support that they need. It can be hard. It can be challenging. And especially if a kiddo is going through some gnarly depression because the parents need therapy themselves and they're displacing that onto the child. That's hard. And sometimes making really rough CPS calls are really hard. We don't like doing it. We hate making those calls of, hey, you should probably take yourself to the hospital right now. Like we're at that level where I'm concerned for your safety. Or making those CPS calls, especially not being able to be in the room with my client when we do it. It's hard. It's hard. It's tolling. And I think another part that's hard of doing teletherapy versus in-person, because I've done both. I've done school-based in-person. I've done school-based via telehealth. I've ran groups in person. I've ran groups on telehealth. I have done couples in person, couples on telehealth. You know, everything that I've done therapeutic-wise, I've done both. So I've seen both in nonprofit and private practice settings. And it's definitely hard not having that connection. And it's hard. It's also hard working from home, because honestly, I would self-care more when I was in person than I was in telehealth. And I think that's because in person, I would have to literally walk out of the therapy room, or I'd have to walk away from my desk to eat or have snacks, or I'd go out to my car or whatever. But I'm at home 24/7. So it can be very tempting when on my breaks I see an email, I'm like, oh, I need to go respond to that right now. Or versus I'd be like, I'm on my break, I ain't going back upstairs right now. But being at home, it's really hard to have those boundaries sometimes, or having too much time on my hands and being so mind-numbingly bored that I didn't really have in person because I'd be talking with my coworkers. So, I mean, there's pros and cons with both of it, honestly. I love being able to do therapy from my pajamas, and I don't need to find like a dog sitter, which is nice, but definitely having the session right here, always at my fingertips, it's hard. It's hard to remind myself, hey, I need to have an off switch too. I need to self-care just as much as I tell my clients to self-care.
Yeah, absolutely. Have you had any big wins in the past year and 3 months?
Yeah, definitely that selectively mute kiddo. I've worked a lot with suicidal clients, and I've had to hospitalize. Well, I didn't hospitalize, but they self-hospitalized. But seeing them find that will to live and see that light in their eyes come back, and them being like, Jess, thank you. Because if you didn't step in and notice those signs, I wouldn't be here today. And being able to kind of see that happiness come back is really beautiful. Really beautiful. Challenging. Oh God, is it hard? But it's really, really rewarding to see that. And I mean, I've had that with my teens, with my adults. You know, it doesn't get easier. But another reward, I had a kid who hated me. He hated me so much that during telehealth, they put their phone in the freezer and left me there. And for the next session, I used a Snapchat filter. And next session, I used a Snapchat filter and made myself an ice cube. I had some fun with it. Very petty. But now, like, they love, like, it was funny. But they love coming to session now. And because I met that resistance with humor. And that's how I work. Like, this comedy, what you see is how I am in session. I don't sugarcoat things. I don't beat around the bush. I'm blunt. I'm like a Sour Patch Kid meets chaotic wholesome. Really. Like, I'm going to be the Swift kicking your ass when you need it. And I'm going to support you, but I'm going to be loud about it. And that's how I am. But just going from being in the freezer to them being like, do we have therapy today? And like blowing up my phone, like, we have therapy today, right? Like, yes, we have therapy today. And I'm just like, yes, we have therapy today. I'm so glad you're excited. I love this enthusiasm. But kind of seeing that all by giving them their space. Like, we would talk The Walking Dead the whole hour. Because I'm getting to know my client. You know, we can't push them to talk about emotions if they're not ready. Yeah. Really.
I love I love the term chaotic. What did you say? Chaotic wholesome?
Chaotic wholesome.
Now, how did you come up with that term? It is very descriptive in a very specific way.
TikTok.
I love it.
Because it's basically, I'm chaotic wholesome. Like, I'm gonna support you, but damn, am I gonna be loud about it? And that's how I am. That's how I go about life. No part of me is quiet.
Yeah.
I like having a personality that's as bright as my hair. I mean, granted, it's faded out and it looks like cotton candy now, but I like being my authentic self.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I had so both of my kids have hair dye. One of them, so my 14-year-old, their hair is like so they had me do it, and I had to. YouTube is your best friend when you're trying to do something you've never done before. They have rainbow hair that goes like this across. It's really cool looking. And then my 7-year-old was like, I want a purple spot here and I want a red spot here. And so I just do, do whatever he wanted. But I had to send some specific objections to the school about their hair policies, to say like, look, you only get to be a kid one time and then they're going to hit adult life. And there are so many places who won't let you do cool stuff with hair. So you're trying to limit them to the 4 years they're in college if they go to college. And that's not right. And so it was one of those things that I just recently had to do it, but I'm really glad that I did, because expressing that uniqueness and expressing that individualism, I think, is really important. And I'm really glad that you have found a way to do that in your profession as well. I think that's important too.
Yeah, I get to have pink eyebrows. Like, how cool is that? I mean, I've worked at nonprofits. I've worked at IOPs that I wasn't allowed to have colorful hair. I wasn't allowed to show my tattoos. Like, I have tattoos like all over the place. And with my clients, they feel like they're getting a real person.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
I've had clients to be like, well, I'm dyeing my hair cool colors. My therapist has cool colors. I'm like, yes, as you should. Ask your parents' permission first, but yes. But I believe in celebrating that uniqueness, and you're totally right. You only get to be a kid for a certain amount of time.
That's right.
So go you for advocating for your kids. Yes, here for it.
Listen, I got real mad whenever I was doing it, so I had lots of people read it and be like, okay, you really can't say this. you're being too combative in this part. Like, all right, I'll tone it down.
That 100% would be me.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So is it normal to get bored with therapy at some point, even if you're doing something fun? Is there kind of a natural wall where you feel like you're spinning your wheels a little bit for some amount of time?
Yes and no. I mean, if you're a talented clinician, no, honestly. Not trying to call people out, right? But it's really having that feel for your clients of when you notice that stuckness. I've had clients that have worked with me literally since I first became a therapist. I have a lot of the same clients to this day. I've had clients who have followed me across agencies because they love how I do therapy. But for me, have I had clients get bored? No. I've had clients get scared of digging deep.
Yeah.
Which is normal. I mean, I am EMDR trained too, so I do trauma work as well. But I think the boredom comes from resistance of not wanting to go deeper. And of not being fully authentic with yourself and fully authentic with what's going on, because there's always so much more that can be explored. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I've had clients get bored with the game, like with Roblox. I had a kid be like, no, God, please, no Roblox. Yeah. That's when I'd be like, oh, okay, I'm fine with that. I'm fine with not playing Tower of Hell another minute, because I hate that game with a passion. But I love Roblox in general. But that game, for context, that's a game where you have to like jump onto these little ledges that are like this freaking big, and your avatar is this big, and you're like falling off every time. But I have clients that are just like, and I'm just like, okay, I gotta jump perfectly, and then I fell off anyways. But they're like, so I guess sometimes we get bored with the same game. Sometimes we get bored with Among Us, and then we switch it up. So yes and no. I mean, they get bored with the same game, but not with therapy as a whole. Yeah. I keep it fun, but I also know how to read my clients really well.
Yeah.
But a lot of them have been working with me for a really long time. So we've gotten to that point.
Right. So when someone is resistant to opening up a little bit, or if they're feeling that scared part, what do you say when someone hits that point to kind of encourage them, or how do you pull them out of that and help them open up a little bit?
What makes them happy? I explore their hobbies. If they like TikTok, I invite them to show me their top 5 TikToks. Or we spend the entire session of them showing me their favorite. Like at that point, if they're resisting being open about themselves, or usually it's about emotions, because people generally love talking about themselves. They don't like talking about their problem. There's a difference. They love talking about what makes them unique. of us do. It's an innate human nature, right? Especially if someone's willing to listen and really cares about our uniqueness and individuality. So I hold that space. That's really important. I grew up with therapists who, for lack of a better term, were old white dudes who really had no connection to that inner child. And I threw Legos at their head. I was also not the best child by a long shot. I've come a long way. I love you, Mom and Dad. Thank you for putting up with me. But also, you know, I've had that therapist. So I try to approach it with, what would I have wanted in that moment? Would I have wanted a therapist who just sits and just stares at me the entire time, just like, no, no. And that's why they got Legos thrown at their heads. Was it deserved? Probably. But also probably not, because I was an evil child. But I've had those therapists as a kid, as a teen, as an adult, that really didn't take the time to meet me on my level, to get to know me and what makes me me, aside from a label, aside from a diagnosis, which I've been misdiagnosed too, and I've seen the repercussions of that, of being placed on the wrong medications, of having a stigma associated with that label. So I've been there. It sucks so much. So for me, to meet that resistance, I recognize that fear of being misdiagnosed, of being misunderstood, of not being heard. So I'm really good, at least at this point, of being able to recognize those nonverbal signs of resistance, and also the verbal signs as well of boredom and resistance. So I take emotions or whatever, like you could see that switch in your client. You could tell. So I look for that, and I prod a little bit more just to confirm, not to push, but just to confirm. And if I see that resistance continue, I'm like, we're taking it off the table. And then I'll gradually reintroduce it bit by bit, but not whole entrees.
Right.
Like more like little appetizers, more like little bite sizes. But I take talking about that completely off the table. I'll be like, you know, I'm noticing a little bit of resistance, and that's okay. I want you to feel comfortable during our time together. That's the most important thing. So you know what? Let's not talk emotions today. Whenever you're ready. I mean, of course, we're not going to avoid it forever. We'll get to it. But what do you think about doing some Animal Crossing today instead? What do you think? Or what do you think about playing a couple rounds of Among Us? And we'll do it for the rest of session. Because it's not what I want in session. I can come in with all my agendas, all my interventions, but it really, at the end of the day, you don't want your client bolting out the door. You want them to feel comfortable, because that's when you're going to see that change.
Yeah.
But it's all in being able to read people, and on in being able to understand nonverbal. Being hard of hearing, that's probably my biggest superpower. I read people's body language, like, seriously, like a superpower. But that's how I've learned to adapt, and that's my uniqueness. So kind of watch out for that. And I think beer.
So are there any regular habits that you maintain yourself, or that you encourage your clients to develop, that you feel like might not get enough attention, but that support overall well-being?
Yes. I'm the biggest hypocrite. I'll say that right now when it comes to self-care. My supervisor gets on me about it. My therapist gets on me about it. Literally everyone in my life gets on me about it. But I really don't have an off switch, and it's really hard to turn that off. But then again, I come from family values of, if you're resting, you're not being productive. And that's an internal monologue I've learned to rewrite myself. So for me, self-care is hard. I also have the attention span of a walnut. I do have ADHD. I'm medicated, but even with medication, sometimes it's really hard. So things like sitting down and reading, or sitting down and meditating, it's not going to work for me. And I've had therapists who refuse to acknowledge that. And thankfully, my therapist is like, Jess, just sit with your thoughts for like 30 minutes. That's all I want. Just 30 minutes. I'm just like, okay, I can do that. I can do that. She's like, are you going to do that seriously? And I'm like, I'll try. But that's my thing. Self-care has always been hard. And working in a nonprofit setting where I was working well over 47 hours a week, I was getting so burnt out. so burnt out. So when I switched to private practice, I only work Tuesday through Thursday now. I have Mondays and Fridays off. Because as I'm getting older, I realize only 2-day weekends are not enough to recharge, especially when you do have complex cases.
Yes.
Or when you, or when you have life, that wonderful thing that gets in the way of a lot of things. But it wasn't enough for me to recharge. So now I don't work on Mondays or Fridays, or if I do, I'm talking with other clinicians. But that also gives me time to take trips. I haven't taken a vacation in 6 years. 6 years! That's way too long. So I have one planned. So actually planning a vacation and taking it. Granted, COVID, I had one planned, but that's a whole nother story. But planning vacations and having nieces and nephews over that help remind me of what the inner child is. But on a daily basis, I do that hula hoop, the TikTok hula hoop thingamajigger. I just like feeling the ball go around and hearing the little sounds. But also, so I try to do that every day. I'm eating a lot better. I ate very, very unhealthy when we switched to telehealth. And I think that was one of the cons, too, of as a therapist, this goes for a lot of therapists, actually. When we're in person, when we're at an agency or a nonprofit, we forget to eat. Plain and simple. I've had so many days where I've had to stuff like a handful of chips in my mouth, and that's all I ate the whole day. Where I would go from the school all morning, do sessions during the day, and then run groups at night. I'd go a full 12, 13-hour day and only eating a granola bar. So I went from that to, and always walking around, so I was constantly losing weight and wondering why, and constantly dehydrated because I would forget I had water, to being at home constantly with all the food right here at my fingertips. So that led to eating all the wrong things. Right. And even at home, I still don't remember to hydrate. Like, you had to remind me to have water for this. So we're far from perfect. So my habit is making sure I drink water. It's making sure that I'm fueling my body with the necessary foods and not eating my weight in Reese's, which I totally would do. Reese's are delicious. But making sure I have healthy snacks available too, because I know me. I know I'm going to forget to eat all day until I'm like, oh shit, I have 5 minutes before session. I should probably eat right now. So I have that healthy option. And then trying to exercise as well. For me, it's become my stress reliever. I have a really hard time letting things go sometimes, but that comes from a family of dysfunction. I hold on to things. So for me, I'll hula hoop or I'll work out when I'm frustrated and kind of get my mind off long enough to where I can calm myself down and think through it rationally rather than going down that rabbit hole. But keeping that healthiness for my body is what I need to be here full and present. And then on the weekends, I try to do at least one thing that connects me to my inner child, whether it be finger painting, whether it be playing Minecraft, whether it be baking cookies or playing with my dogs. I try to have that sense of fun. But I also have at least one day of nope, where I have no responsibilities. I don't answer any phone calls. Nothing. And I just nope all day long. However I choose to do so, whether it be a bubble bath, which is also something I've been trying to implement more, of just sitting and being, which is so hard. Especially, I'm an Enneagram type 8. Like, we are like constant go, go, go. So for me, my self-care is forcing myself to sit. As uncomfortable as it may be, I have to schedule that time for emotions. Yeah. I'm the queen of numbing myself off or pretending emotions don't exist. So for me, that's a 30-minute bubble bath. I know people like sitting in the bath for hours. I'm not one of those people. I'll sit in for like 30 minutes, an hour. But during that time, I'm on TikTok. Or I'm on Twitter, or I have a 5-foot beanbag. I'll just sit and lay down and just be. And that's been my biggest thing of turning my brain off long enough to just be.
Yeah. Hey, Bite Mark, you made it. Good. Bite Mark said Reese's in the freezer are amazing. And that I need more nope days. Yeah, I mean, it sounds like it would be really good. Because I think the center part wouldn't get like frozen solid, right? It seems like it would still be a little Reese's-y in the center. But we were just talking about how a 2-day weekend is nowhere near enough to recharge for anyone. Like you have a have fun day, you have a get stuff done day, but there's no rest day. Like you need a day for each of those. And you just don't get it right now. Like you don't, that's not a thing. Capitalist society does not allow that. So yeah.
Really not.
Bite Mark also asked, see, I said she was going to be here to ask this question. I was not wrong. What is your favorite poem?
I'm prepared. Yeah, one of my favorites. I'm probably gonna butcher this name. Rupi Kaur? Rupi. But from Target. Target owns my soul. But it goes, I want a parade. I want music. I want confetti. I want a marching band. For the ones surviving in silence, I want a standing ovation for every person who wakes up and moves toward the sun when there is a shadow pulling them back on the inside.
That's great.
My favorite.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Because it's hard. It's hard.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And I deserve a parade.
Hell yeah.
Several parades.
Bite said, I love it. There you go. So I know Fia, I don't think Fia's here, but she asked me to ask a question on her behalf. And that is, what is your day-to-day experience like as a therapist? And what was your experience like while you were in school to become one?
While I was in school to become one, hell. It was hell. Like, there's no sugarcoating it. It was horrible. Worst mental health I have ever been in. And unfortunately, I have several colleagues that didn't make it because it was that hard. It's tolling. Grad school is not a fun experience for me. I had a lot of trauma going on at the same time, some family trauma at the same time. So I had to balance that while working full time and then going to classes in the evening. So oftentimes I would work from 8 a.m. until about 5, 6, and then go do night classes and not be done until 10. So I had like an 8 a.m. till 10 p.m. day. It was horrible. I would not wish that on anybody. I would not eat. Sleep was non-existent, and it was so hard. I got a 4.0 straight A's all the way through. Super proud of myself, but it was hard. So my experience while I was in school to become a therapist, I lived on caffeine and whatever they had in the cafeteria, and my relationship struggled. We were fighting all the time, and because I was displacing my stress and my anger, and I did not know how to self-care. I did not know my limits at that time. It was horrible. Not saying don't go to grad school, but definitely have a therapist. Yeah. Definitely have a therapist. At that time, I also had really, really bad ADHD that was not medicated, and it made studying so much worse. But my day-to-day experience, I wake up around 7:30, 8. I set my alarm way before I need to get out of bed because it takes a long time to get out of bed. I have 2 dogs that are the cutest. Like this morning, I would bring them out, but they're with my significant other right now. If you want to see them, hop onto my Instagram. They're all over there. Or book a session with me. They make an appearance. But my doggo, he was like sprawled out this morning, like spread eagle, just like super cute. And then he's a Maltipoo. He's not the brightest cry in the bunch. He eats snails and licks car tires, but we love him. He's adorable. His name is Zero. We call him Bubba. And then we have Luna, which we call her our residential crackhead, for lack of a better term, because she's all over the place. All over the place. She licks walls. She's not all there. She licks the floor. She licks walls. She eats her foot, not for allergies. She'll just sit there with her foot in her mouth. Just sit in there. So I have concerns about that dog. But but we still love her. But they were cuddled with me this morning, so getting out of bed is really hard. Yeah. Sometimes. And especially wanting to cuddle, or I'm the queen of weird dreams, so sometimes I have to like sit for a moment and be like, what just happened? Yeah. I don't even know. You wake up and you go, then fuck? I'll make coffee. Yeah. Yeah, I had one that was like a zombie apocalypse, but the Queen of England had vaccines that had her blood in it, And I was safe because I actually, fun fact, I'm related to the Queen of England through like grandparents, and Isaac Newton, which is cool. But she was like, yeah, we injected the zombies, but you're of blood, so they're not going to kill you. So I went from like having a laser gun thing shooting all these people to being like, oh, okay, cool. So I'm just like walking through these zombies like it was nothing. And I woke up just like, what happened? But I'll have that, and then I'm such a TikTok cliche, I swear. But I'll make the pesto eggs in the morning with the English muffin, and I put some mozzarella cheese on it. So good.
Sounds good.
And then there's this guy on TikTok that like sits on his counter, and he like flicks off his coffee cap things, but he has the best coffee recipe. And I got some cinnamon dulce syrup from Starbucks, so I make my coffee. And then I'll do sessions, I'll work out, doom scroll on TikTok, and rinse and repeat. And that's pretty much my day. And then my significant other comes home, we'll play video games, and then we'll watch 90 Day Fiance or serial killer documentaries right before bed. That's my day.
I like it.
Super fun.
Bite said I also have an adorable but not smart dog. Yeah.
And I'm not smart at all. I'm going to see if my significant other can bring them out before they end.
Yeah. So if you weren't doing what you do now, or if you had chosen a different path in life, what would you be doing, or what would you have done instead?
Great question. I get asked this all the time. So I would do one of two things. I would either be in forensic psychology like I wanted to, but I would specialize more so in like serial killers or cult leaders. I would like to do the interviews, like the interviews they did with Charles Manson, with Ted Bundy, things like that. Like oh my God, like that's my favorite pastime, just listening to those interviews. Like, it's so great. Fun fact, when I was in undergrad, we were watching something on like the ice pick killer, and I was sitting there, not with the knowledge I have now, and I was like, I bet you this guy has this disorder based on this, and this. Granted, we didn't see the long interview, and I was spot on. So, like, that's my favorite thing to play. Of like, can I guess their diagnosis before they say it? Or I would be a vet, probably. Yeah. I love animals. Animals are amazing. Like, amazing.
Yeah. Animals are great. Well, it is time for the Disney/magic moment. I've got to stop saying Disney. I need to actually take it off of this completely. Eventually, they're going to be like, bitch, stop talking about our company.
Hey.
I know, right? But if you could wave a magic wand and eliminate one common opinion, misconception, or theory surrounding mental illness, disabilities, or talking about mental health, what would it be? And I'm just going to wave my magic wand here, and you get the power now to eliminate one.
Eliminate one common opinion or misconception or theory. So hard.
It's hard to pick one.
I'd say that people with mental illness or mental health are fucked up people and unworthy of love and respect. Yeah.
I think that's
we are so much more than our mental illness. So much more.
Well, and you can't tell, it's not like an outwardly appearing thing either all the time where, you know, all of a sudden you find out someone has depression, like, oh God, does your opinion change of them? Sometimes it does. And that's shitty. Like, this person that you've known, it's not like their depression just suddenly was there when they said it out loud. But Mark said, because I'm a fucked up person and worthy of love. Listen, and that's valid too. Absolutely. Yes, for sure. Yeah, I think that's an important one. So with that, I'll open it up to any remaining questions in chat. You guys feel free to put whatever you would like into chat, and I'll ask it of Jessica, and I will just kind of hand it over to you if there's something else that we didn't cover or that you want to talk about or anything you want to promote or anything. I'll just hand it over to you.
Yeah, I'm trying to get my significant other to bring the dogs out.
Bring the dogs!
They love being on camera. Let me see. Hold on. Muted? Okay. Let me try to screen. Okay. Hopefully you can hear me. But yeah, so I run a Instagram, Happy Little Brains, my little tag on here as well. Feel free to follow me. Feel free to join the party. I'm also on YouTube. I've created some really calming like loops that you can study to or meditate to as well. For clinicians, I have some interventions on there. But I do have openings for clients as long as you're in California or a state that is allowing interstate therapy due to COVID. Feel free to reach out. I'm glad to talk, answer any questions, anything like that. So you can always visit me on www.happylittle.com. That's my handle as well. I am on TikTok, of course. So feel free to give a follow, share the love. And I think the doggies have been released.
The doggies.
Yay! Okay, so this is
Oh,
Luna.
hello.
This is the residential crackhead. This is Luna. She's the one who licks the walls. We got her from a shelter. They're little shelter puppers. And then we got Zero. Zero, come here, Bubba. Come here. Are you just going to stand there and stare at me? No, you're going to come? You're going to come and love me? Yay! Oh, this is Zero.
Hello. What a cutie.
He's the one who eats snails. He's not a morning bird at all. Like Luna, she has all the energy in the morning. She's like, yes, let me love you. But him, he's like, and he's sassy. If you don't put his harness on fast enough, he will start like hitting cardboard boxes.
Oh,
He'll throw tantrums if you try to put him down. He'll like put his foot against the table. He will not let you put him down. Like he's sassy.
oh my gosh.
Sassy, but he loves everybody. And same with Luna. She loves everybody.
Yeah. Well, I just posted links to your Twitter website, again, the tags page, Instagram, and YouTube. So I've got all of those in the chat right there. Bitemark says, this is not a question, but I love your hair. So another hair lover there.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Keep going. My ego loves it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, well, if there are no other questions, I am going to, guys, give me just a little bit to wrap up with Jessica here. Jessica, thank you so much for taking the time out today. This is a great conversation. I appreciate you just coming on here and sharing your world with us for a little while.
That's a wrap on today's episode of Even Tacos Fall Apart. A huge thank you to Jessica for sharing her insights on how therapy can be creative, accessible, and fun. I love how she's taking an approach that meets people where they're at, whether that's through pop culture, gaming, or just giving clients the space to connect with themselves their own way. It's a reminder that therapy doesn't have to fit into a mold, and if one way doesn't work for you, there are so many other options out there. I think the big takeaway from today is this. Therapy is about being seen, heard, and given the support you need to move through life's chaos. Not about following some rigid set of rules. Whether it's using video games or just embracing a more authentic approach to healing, the point is that there's no one-size-fits-all, and that's okay. The right therapist will meet you where you are and help guide you through. If there's anything we talked about today that resonated with you, I hope you take a moment to think about how you might bring some of those concepts into your own life. Maybe it's finding a therapist who connects with you in a more real, authentic way. Or maybe it's finding small moments of play and creativity to tap into when things get heavy. Before we go, I want to ask for your help in growing this community. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a review. It really helps others find the show, and it means the world to me. Your feedback is how we keep this conversation going and make sure more people feel like they are not alone. As always, if you want to reach out, connect, or share your thoughts on this episode, feel free to drop me a message on social media or even via email. I'm MommaFoxFire everywhere, and my email is mommafoxfire@gmail.com. I'd love to hear what you think, and if you've got any ideas for future topics, send those my way too. Thanks again for being here with me today. Remember, even when life feels like it's falling apart, there's always room to pick up the pieces and keep moving forward. See you next time.